Kenya Wildlife Service Rangers on the trail of suspected poachers that hunt elephants for their ivory. Poaching across the African continent has been on the rise, with Asia now being the largest market for elephant tusks and the products made from them.
The situation of elephant poaching in Kenya is a small war.
Kenya is perhaps the most aggressive country when it comes to protecting elephants and enforcing ivory bans, according to the director of the Kenya Wildlife Service.
It's not that we like carrying automatic weapons, but the threat from poachers requires that we have superior weaponry.
In the 10 years before a 1989 global ban on ivory, the elephant population had dwindled in half to over 600,000 animals.
We've followed the ivory trail from the killing fields of Africa all the way over to China, which has now become the biggest market for illegal ivory in the world.
Alan Thornton is the president of the Environmental Investigation Agency.
People are actually investing in the extinction of the elephants because they see that ivory is an investment commodity, and if they can acquire some and sit on it, its value will increase faster than almost any other commodity.
Thornton says elephant populations began to recover during the 8 years after the 1989 ivory ban, but in 1997, pro-ivory trade countries petitioned the Global Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, to allow some nations to begin selling stockpiled ivory on the open market. CITES gave South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, and Zimbabwe permission to sell their stockpiles of ivory to Japan and to China. Thornton says because of this one-time market sale, China suddenly became the biggest market for ivory.
One of the many problems with the legalized ivory trade is that it provides the perfect cover to hide all the illegal ivory trade. Because if you have legal ivory trade and you're an MP in Tanzania and you get caught with a truck full of ivory, you can say, oh, no, I've got permits for this. I'll get to the permits, and then it all gets hushed up. And this is what happens.
Research biologist Peter Leimgruber says that opening the market for even a limited ivory trade encourages poaching and endangers elephant populations around the globe.
One of the difficulties is we don't know usually when the ivory is seized by law enforcement, we don't usually know where it's coming from. So it's very difficult for us to assess how much the African trade affects ivory poaching in Asia.
A piece of carved ivory like this can cost several $100s, or nearly $100 an inch for some items. A group of poachers might make $1,000 from a set of tusks, and by the time the ivory makes it to the store, it can be extremely expensive.
We went to a Chinese friendship store in Dalian, China, and we found one big tusk on sale for $130,000.
At Nairobi's International Airport, an ivory smuggling suspect is caught with a large ivory collection in her suitcase. When I buy this, she says, they told me it is very, very good white wood from Africa, they told me, so I buy this very cheap. Recently, ministers and officials from 8 elephant range countries met to address ways to protect and manage population of the world's biggest mammal. Azzedine Downs is the executive vice president of the International Fund for Animal Welfare.
We know that the populations in Asia, land use, habitat, management of parks is very intense because of the large populations of humans. Where in Africa you have much wider landscapes, but they're still dealing with things like human-wildlife conflict, but in very, very different ways. So I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation.
Alan Thornton says the commercial ivory trade provides little to no benefit to the people of Africa. He also says if China and Japan would ban ivory sales tomorrow, poaching of ivory would plummet overnight. I'm Alexiou, VOA News.